Good evening to you all, and thank you very much for joining us in tonight's edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. And of course, we are still within the dossier of back to school or education. And in tonight's edition, we are going to be looking at education, its professionalism, and necessary prerequisite for an individual's success in the future. And because we have observed that there are so many mushroom professional schools and vocational training centers in the country, which drain naive parents of huge sums of money, and of course at the end only guarantees them a certificate and no skills for them to compete in the job market. To discuss about this, we are having a lady and a gentleman with us here in the studio. It's not the first time that you are having them. Hope you will enjoy their company as usual. Rahel, Ule, Abia, good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Vanessa. It's always a pleasure joining you and to express my view or our views on very, very important issues that we need to develop.
Hope that your expertise will bring more insight into that.
Hope so.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyam is an educationist and the promoter of St. Louis University Institute. Good evening to you, Dr. Nick, and thank you for always coming.
It's a pleasure to be with you here, and nice to meet you again, and to say that St. Louis colors are red and white.
Okay, St. Louis colors are red and white. I'm all right. It means I'm privileged to be putting on a red color tonight.
Well,
education is professionalism, a necessary prerequisite for an individual success. That is what we'll be finding out. Rahel, you are the lecturer and a marketing student affairs officer of Hype University, and given your experience that you've had with several other training institutions, do you think that professionalism is really necessary for one to succeed?
yes. I believe that professionalism is, because I'll go with the very beginning of it. Defining professionalism is practical work. You know, when you know how to do practical work, then you won't have a problem succeeding, because we go with theory and we go with all those explanations, books that we read, but when you know practical work, which is handwork, and you go with skills, then yes, it is good for someone who goes with professionalism to succeed.
But then is it a guarantee? Like I earlier said in my introduction, that we do have hundreds of professional schools in Cameroon, case study Cameroon, but at the end we see that most students who graduate from this school are jobless, or they can't even create something doing for themselves.
That's a problem, because most of these institutions don't practice what they preach. Okay, because they go out there and they tell a lot of lies and they call in the students, and most of the times it's really traumatizing, because you cannot take your money, go pay for an institution for a program which is not being done in that institution, and because they don't do they don't give them the professional aspects that they demand or they ask for. So you see, it is just a problem. It's a problem when you have those quacks, those kind of, you call them mushrooms, as you call them, around. That's why they need to go back. Parents need to be careful the kind of schools they're choosing for their children, and the children need to be careful too. You need to dig in and find out how legal the institution is. And it's not only about getting the legal documents for you to run a school. It's about having the practical environment. It's about having the environment good enough for the students to practice there. You have institutions where they say, okay, we're a professional institution, they just have the rent and space, but they don't have the facilities that give these students the practical work, the practical knowledge that they deserve. You cannot be running an institution of health and you don't have a practicing hospital or structure. You understand? So when you're going in for an institution, you should ask that you want to go through the practical workshops or their seminar rooms or their ICT rooms, so you get to find out the evidence by yourself. Don't see the structure from outside. Some people are on renting, and some people own their lands and they have their space. They make provisions for all these facilities, and when they know that they cannot provide you the facility, they'll tell you, sorry, we cannot run these facilities because we don't have the space. That is the truth about it. So if you don't have the space, you don't go for it. So it's a problem. Parents need to be very watchful.
Parents needs to be
Even the students
really watchful, because talking about professionalism is not all about having the certificates or proving that you're coming from a very expensive school, but yet you don't have the skill. Dr. Nick, you are talking here about professionalism being a necessary tool for future success. Is that possible?
You know,
I do not have the skill, but I intend to succeed in the future.
it's very, very interesting. How do I put that? Digression. I was talking one day with a friend of mine, Mr. Fungot Edwin, and he said, when you want to build a house, if you want to build a house, you will need to fulfill 3 conditions. Make sure those conditions are in place. Condition number 1, which is very important, is the location. Condition number 2 is location. Condition number 3 is location. Now let's it's the same thing that
location
we say
times 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So to succeed in life is professionalism, is professional education. That's it. Condition number 1 to succeed is professional education. Number 2, professional education. Number 3, professional education. So what is professional education? You know, Rahel said it. In professional education, 3 things. 1, theory, which is just be 25%. 2, it's practical work, which is 75%. And then there's something else that I will mention. Okay, I said when it comes to your knowledge and skills, that's a package called knowledge and skills. 25% should be the theory. 75% should be skills. Skills means handwork. You use your head, you use your hands, and you solve a problem. You deliver goods. That is it. Now let's step back from it again and define what we call success. What is success? Success is, how do I put it? There are 2 words that I need to describe: success and wisdom. You see, I'm going down to basics so we understand. Success is 50% of that knowledge, and no, not 55. It's 25% of your certificates. Okay, and then 75% of attitude and character. It's very important. If you want to succeed, it doesn't matter whether you have 10 PhDs to your name. All of that amounts only to 25%. Now 75% of your success is your attitude and your character, which means that you could be the brightest student in school, you could have all the skills, you can be the best doctor, the best surgeon, but if you have a wrong character, you are very dangerous to the community. Am I talking to somebody here?
Yeah.
It's about character. If you don't have the right character, you are going nowhere. Be the best. I mean, look back at your primary, secondary school, and university, and so on. Look at those people who were very bright but had a bad character. They are nowhere to be found. Even in their private lives, their marriages won't succeed, their children won't succeed. And nobody depends on them. Because when people find out that you are untrustworthy and you are a liar, you are finished. People only trust you if you are who you say you are and you do exactly what they think you stand for. Out of that, nobody bothers about you and you go down the drain. I wanted to say that in very clear terms, so that when people go to school and are cheating in exams and are doing all sorts of funny things, you are deceiving yourself. A lot of children go to schools, and even their parents help their children to cheat. Children go to school, cheat, marks for sex, all those funny things that you do. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you will get whatever certificates you want, and you have some appointments, and somebody is going to push you up. But they push you up to a level of inefficiency where you go up, and then people see that the king is naked, and you will fall, and it will be a real disgrace. Am I talking to somebody? It's character. Now let's understand another concept called wisdom. What is wisdom? I didn't understand what I couldn't define to you what is wisdom. And if I asked everybody who's listening to us what is wisdom, very few people would tell us what is wisdom. It's one of those complex things that we don't understand. It's only about 6 or 7 years ago that I understood what wisdom means when I was listening to Pastor Chris. You know Pastor Chris, the Nigerian, that guy, that fair and completion guy,
of
Pastor
Christ
Chris
Embassy.
of Christ Embassy, yes. And he defined wisdom in a very practical terms, because you and I would think that if somebody asks you about wisdom, you start talking about King Solomon. But what is it? Wisdom is two parts. It's a part A and part B. So in the part A is wisdom is also something plus something. Wisdom is if I give you information. If I give you information, let's say that we are out of the mango season, and I tell you that there are some mangoes in Banjok, going for a very good price. That's information. All right. Then, so I said there is information plus understanding in the part A. What is understanding? Then you say, if they are in Banjok and they are selling very cheap, I can go buy them and come and sell them, and I will make myself some money. You are giving an understanding to the whole thing. Are you getting me? So that's part A of wisdom. Then part B of wisdom is the most important thing. And if I say that Cameroon has been failing, or you and I have been failing, we are failing because we fail to understand part B. Part B is the doing. So
that takes us back to professionalism.
Yes. I'm laying this foundation so that even after this, if I say nothing, you would have gotten it right. So you get information, which is the theory. You get understanding about what is going on. Then you can. That's what helps you to understand a problem. Then you now get up from your comfort zone and solve the problem. It is that doing which is very important. So if you can understand everything. As long as you do nothing will change. You will remain broke. You will complain from morning to evening, have as many novenas as you care, sleep in church, cut yourself with blades, give all your money to the pastor. Nothing will change. It's about doing. And you cannot do if you don't have practical skills. Yes. Am I communicating here? So you must go to school, learn, understand. What are you learning to understand? Understand principles on how things work. Then now use those principles and the skills how to take pineapple and change it to pineapple juice. Add value to the systems, and when you sell it, you have money. That is as simple as that. And the school is supposed to do that. And if we are failing in Cameroon, it's because the school system. Watch my lip. I keep saying it. The school system has been a failure for 60 years. We've been deceiving children. All these. You go to the university. So people have been using the university as a hiding place. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. Doc, let me direct this question to Rarel. That's what I want to know from you. Why do you think that Cameroonians, especially the students, are more interested in having master's degree, PhD, yet they have nothing to contribute in the society, like Doctor is saying?
Well, Doctor just said something that was very interesting, that we talk about wisdom, professionalism. Professionalism is solution bringers. And in most cases, we're lazy. It's an aspect of being lazy. Our minds have been blocked. We have been, we have been hypnotized to think that we can just have certificates and go around and bluff. That's what the country has made us to understand. So why many of us are going for the master's degree, the PhD, those certificates, it's for the bluff, the class stratification. They want to put themselves out there and beat their hands on their church. Unfortunately, there's nothing in their pockets.
Because I believe
it's about them.
At times, I'm tempted to ask some doctors that, all right, you are called a doctor. What solution have you brought into the society?
That is the
what solution are you bringing? What problem are you solving? Because a doctor is meant to heal.
Unfortunately, we don't even have those doctors anymore. Sorry, doctor, but we have most of those people. If you go to the hospital, you attest to what I'm saying. You start complaining about something, he's going to Google. You just Google your disease, and of course it's finding solution for your disease. It's not practical. Practical is you living it. Okay? Getting some experiments done. If I fit this here, will it fit? If I turn this one here, will it go? So if we don't do it practically, professionally, so there's no that It is the notion, the knowledge that the country has embedded in us that, oh, we just need to have the certificates and you write a concours. That's the mistake. It is about the concours.
The concours disease.
You know, you start beating the concours disease is really eating on us on the point that, at the point where we don't even understand where we're heading to. And I'll agree with Doctor when he says back that you go back to the education, and when we start changing the system, then of course the mindsets will change. We need to rewrite our stories by giving these children professionalism. A few of them are getting into the professional world because they want to make money. Okay, they have not understood that they come in to bring solutions to problems, and that is what we need to change. They should not perceive money as the only end. They should perceive professionalism as a way to not only build themselves, they build their communities in different ways. So it's about professionalism. It's the end result. And we should be careful, because when we talk about charlatans all around us, I want to think that is because they have used some professionalism, some practical knowledge to understand that, okay, they can manipulate the minds of people to make their money. It's been lazy, because you're not giving the people what they need, what they want. You're giving them what you think is good for you, of which is not the correct thing, because we're still brainwashing our community, our young boys and girls.
Our young boys and girls. Doctor, the much talk about professionalism or professional education in the country, could we say appears more on paper rather
Thank
than
you very much. I am
practical?
and I am a member. I was just co-opted, and I attended my first meeting. I am a member of the National Board for accreditation of papers and of private higher education. We just had a meeting, and there are about 400 of these schools now. And I have been working in the ministry. Yeah, I've been working in the ministry in matters of education since 2002, when I started in Bamenda under the Boston University. You know, so I know what the text says. I know what is expected. I know. Are you getting what I'm saying? And then in 2011. I had the Ministry of Higher Education come to see us at St. Louis Bamenda, and I had these 3 professors, and they had gone out to say, everybody should be careful with this thing called effet boutique. You know what effet boutique is? No. Effet boutique is, you know, we could set up institutions, these higher institutes, also, where and we pretend that we are training children, but actually it's just a certificate box where we make children just go through the system and get papers, but yet they don't have that professionalism in them. So it becomes effet boutique. That's a sales point. Don't make your school sales points for certificates. Effet boutique, and we have a lot of that effet boutique now. All right, now. If you want to understand the history of professional education in Cameroon, we never had it in Cameroon before. It's somewhere around 2002 that thing started. Okay, and there were just a few colleges, Yangtu and a couple of others, starting it, and it was a virgin field. And the government was very particular, because the government could tell that the students who are leaving the state universities did not match the market needs. They couldn't address themselves to the problems that the environment or the market was presenting. So there was need to start professional education. And what they did at the time was, they throw it to the public. Who has the capacity to do what? Come to us with your paperwork and so on, and we'll give you the authorization to start training in your area of competence. You understand? That's how, when said I went there with my papers for health, people went, when you brought that, and that was the nucleus. It started to grow, and there were some instructions that were supposed to be followed. And there is this thing in life. There are some questions that you always have to ask yourself. Why do you do the things that you do? Why are you doing the things that you do? If you don't answer to those questions, you become a crook. Why are you doing the things that you do? Are you doing them for the sake of money? Are you doing them for the sake of ego? Are you doing it for the sake of common good? Are you doing it in truth and love? These are the questions. What you are doing, is it good? Does it build or does it break? And it's a question that every human being answers. You must answer. You are a student. Why do you want to be a student? Why are you studying what you are studying? Why are you a midwife? Why are you a doctor? Do you want to be a doctor so that you'll be committing abortions, or you want to be a doctor to save lives? Do you want to be a doctor just for ego or to make money? It's very important, and many of us have gone wrong because our visions and our missions are not very clear, and we do the wrong things just for the sake of money. Money is the source of evil. Ego is the source of evil. And like what Rahel was saying, a lot of people just put up structures, gather children, and then mix them up like concha.
Under the name of professional schools.
Yes, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. If you just gather children and then just mess them up, God will punish you. Watch me, God will punish you.
Yeah.
If you put in a school, do your best to make sure that you bring out the best of the goods. I mean, God will know that you are doing your best. But if you just bring them there just to milk them and get money, I'm telling you, God will punish you. I mean, let's be very clear about it, because you are messing up the nation and so on. And this country, so I've been talking about, but you see, it's been a growth process. And what happened was this. From the point of view of the ministry, they are coming up with something called private higher education that nobody knows about in the country, and we have to be very careful. The ministry has to be careful. The people who are offering it has to be careful. Parents have to be careful, and so on. So that's why government has been very careful, and so. In the growth and maturation process in the ministry, you have to go through steps. You don't just come and then you become a university. That's why at the beginning, when everybody started university, the government said, you are not university, you are higher institutes. Are you getting me? And you're higher institutes, and they will give you a paper, have these programs, and you don't just go. People would take authorization for a few programs and then just go and copy many other programs and inject in there. No, government doesn't want that. So you have to go through this kind of mentorship and all whatnot and so on. And many of the universities are wishing to deliver their own certificates, which is wrong. They don't want to go through the mentorship of state universities. They want that facility where you can come and then they just issue these certificates and make money. So it's a very dangerous thing. And government also noticed that the products that were being pushed on the market we're still not meeting the market needs. And then where was the problem? The problem was because, the ministry insisted that people who should teach in this school should have these qualifications. And then most of these private institutes, they went now to the state universities to go get people to come and teach. So they transferred those bad habits from the state universities and brought them there. And also, don't forget, in the state universities, there's not very much practicals. It's a lot of theory. So they carry that theory back into the... Are you getting me? So washing the clothes with the same dirty water. So there is a problem, and government is trying to correct that.
Rahel, so how do you think? What are some of the proposals you could give to correct this problem of professionalism or professional institutions in Cameroon?
Some of the suggestions, solutions is that we need to start, like Doctor was saying, we need to go back to the drawing board and identify what is professionalism for us, why we do what we do, why do we want to do what we want to do. And given the fact that many of us many people or many of these students don't meet the needs of the society, I tell my fellow students that Cameroon is a project on its own. The whole of Cameroon is a project. Yeah. Write a synopsis and bring it up. Bring a solution to the problems that we're facing in Cameroon. And that's professionalism. If you go back to the drawing board, you check in, there's this light no community, this one is here. What are you bringing in as a solution to that problem of no light? Food. We're having food that is getting rotten. Why should Europe be eating plums in the dry season and we eat plums only once? Let us bring solutions to that kind of problem. You see, so it is just for the students to go back. What we want to look at is that, please, when you're going for a professional institution, make sure that you're checking everything about the environment, because it's a need. Is it owned by the proprietor or by the school? Is it having the workshops that you need? Because we have people who want to do electrical engineering and then they don't have the space. People want to do transport and logistics, they don't have the space. You see, even
those doing agriculture, they can't practice.
They don't have the space. But if you find a place where all the needs, the work material are available, you go for it. So be careful what you choose. It is not about the money that you're going to make at the end. It's about the skills that you build yourself. So some of the things we think will correct the environment is, I pray government would really, really stop looking for this money issue. When they send people and mission to come and check the right schools that must operate, they should make sure that they forget about the money they are being received. Let them lock out those schools that are not operating right.
All right. Now you are a lecturer at Hype Institute.
Yes.
So far, what are some of the courses they offer?
Well, in Hype Institute, we have the business school, we have the engineering school, and we have the biomedical school too.
Okay.
We have the nurses, the physiotherapists, and lab technicians. And in the business school, we run the accounting, bank and finance. We equally have logistics and transports. We have executive secretarial studies, human resource management. When I say executive secretarial studies, everybody will be like, wow, they're not going to do typing.
No.
It's not typing. It's being assistant managers,
All right.
managers.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank
And then we
you
have the
very much.
engineering too.
Thank you,
Yes.
Rahuli Abia.
Yes.
Dr. Nick, you're already working with the commission, like you said, to regulate this sector
Yeah.
of professional vocational schools being open. So, what are some of the recommendations being adopted there?
Well, one of the things is schools should not run any programs for which they have not been authorized. Don't do it. Don't issue any certificates to students. Don't. If you try, you are going to run into a lot of trouble. Don't, because you put
Even the
everybody in
students
difficulty.
themselves,
Yes, don't. If you please don't do it. And make sure that your children are having a lot of practical work and can do things themselves. This is the idea. Government is not promoting professional education, private, so that people should go again and get certificates and come back to the civil service.
Exactly.
No, it's not about the civil service. It's not so that they come looking for jobs again in the civil service. That's not the point. It's for them to go and create jobs, And this brings me to, like what I was saying, I was listening very carefully. There's another concept that we ought to define, which is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a process, is the process of making some things happen. An entrepreneur is the person who has that mindset and drives the machine forward, and then enterprise is the system. Okay? Now, an entrepreneur is someone who sits and diagnoses a problem in the community. Once you diagnose a problem in the community, stop blaming the government, stop blaming President Paul Biya. That problem that you have diagnosed is your gold. All right? And that goal, it is begging for a solution. There is no nation in the world without problems. So if you have the eye, if God can open your eyes to diagnose the problems, then look for the solutions and craft a system that can solve the problem. That's how you make wealth. That's how you make a name. You understand? So problems are blessings in disguise. And when you can get solutions to those problems, then you are the winner. So an entrepreneur is someone who has that mindset, is someone who is ready to take some risk. All right, is someone who understands how things work. And the best way to understand the concept of an entrepreneur, I've always described, you take a bicycle wheel. Okay, a bicycle wheel has the rim, right? And it has the spindle sitting in the middle, and it has this they call them spokes or something that radiate to the periphery. Okay, now the entrepreneur sits at the spindle where it turns, and around him all those spokes are radiation. He says, there is this problem that I have to solve. Then sitting over there is the banker who has the money. Sitting over there is Rahel who has these skills. Sitting over there is John who has these skills. Are you getting what I'm saying? Sitting over there, all these resources are spread around him. Then he crafts the system and writes a business plan and pulls these people together to attack that problem. And when he pulls these people together and attacks the problem and solves the problem, he adds value to a system. That's how you create jobs. That's how you create wealth. That's how you bring solace to a community. So when you have a community like in Cameroon where young people are fighting and dying, is because of that lack of entrepreneurship, and where everybody thinks that we have to go to the government to have a job. No. So it's professionalism is to go get those professional skills. Then while you are studying the professional whatever, add entrepreneurial skills to it. Don't go around with a certificate, I'm an entrepreneur. Nobody's going to employ you that you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is something that is within you. It's a tool, it's a working thing that you use yourself. It's not something that you go sell to another person. So have entrepreneurial skills, have leadership skills, have business operating skills, and then have the right mindset and so on, then pull resources together and bake the cake.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Nick, for coming. I believe that our televiewers may want to hear you or hear Rahel talk to the end, but then I believe that we must have touched everything concerning professionalism tonight. And go for the skills, do not go for the certificates. That said, we've come to the end. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Do take care and enjoy our program. Stay safe and, of course, stay out of trouble. Goodbye.